Okay. So good evening again. Let me discuss these things, the questions. So it's all right because it's American setting anyway. So it's just a way of for you to to be resilient, hindi kayo kakabahan kapag mahirap and when you are faced with something very difficult question. So um the question 31 is a park of 21 acres with tennis courts, pools, walking trails, and various kinds of ballparks would be classified as so the standard is sa US, um but we need to look at the standards din in Philippine setting. But we need to know that there's a hierarchy also of parts. Uh, and it may not be very defined. It's not defined in the Philippines, but in the US, they indeed define that properly. And so answer is letter D. Okay, a park with these amenities covering 20 to 40, 20, okay, their standard is 20 to 40 acres, would be considered community park. And then a park below or under 20 acres would be classified as the neighborhood park. So you know now that in the US, neighborhood park is smaller than community park. So that's the hierarchy. And would probably have fewer amenities in neighborhood. And then large urban parks are usually between 50 and several hundred acres with more and wider ranging amenities for outdoor activities. And they're often quite scenic. Okay, so regional parks naman range from the high hundreds of acres of several thousand. So many of these parks are set aside for their natural beauty and often feature walking and biking trails and picnic areas, but many of them have very few athletic facilities beyond that. So answer is community park. Okay, so parang kapag sa hierarchy is we have the neighborhood, then we have the community, and then we have the large urban park, and then regional park. Okay, so 32 naman is what is often a major obstacle to smart growth plans? This could be asked, okay? Yeah, kapag biglang tingin, probably you might choose cellphone towers. Pero wala siyang so pag sinabi kasing obstacle, it should be a negative term. So kaya lang B, C, D, and meron siyang opposition. So opposition to depends on So opposition to walkability, negative. Opposition to mass transit, negative. Opposition to matching federal funds. Of course, hindi naman federal funds. So you can just eliminate that one, di ba? Yung matching federal funds. So it's between those B and C. But smart growth, walkability, it's not something that it should be with something, a facility or something, because smart growth emphasizes retaining open spaces and compact development, as well as reducing the use of fossil fuels by reducing the number of cars in use. So this is done in increasing walkability, isn't it? And mass transit. However, many communities do not want access to mass transit and will strongly oppose any efforts to introduce it in their neighborhood. So that's, very American siya. So opposition to mass transit is kasi pag sinabing obstacle, then you have a problem. Pero pag sinabing major obstacle, so you take note of those descriptors. Okay, major obstacle to smart growth plans is opposition to mass transit. Okay, so kasi yung cellphone, it's not major, wala naman sinabi dito na opposition or something. But opposition to walkability naman is while there can be resistance to changes in infra, mass transit opposition is a more significant barrier. Okay, so we go to 33. Yan. So, ano yung 33 dyan? Just a moment lang. Okay. Although many members of the general public are unaware of it, as are many planners, a growing number of experts are saying that many American cities are heading for a grave crisis in the not too distant future when it comes to grave crisis is massive, huge, di ba? So 33, letter C. America has over 311 or so, or during the time na ginawa itong exam, so blank million people, and each one of them uses between 50 and 180 gallons of water. I'm not sure how updated this was, but this one is 2019. So, and the population continues to grow, mainly through immigration, di ba? So that's the main problem of the US now. If you are really very keen about US politics, so according to EPA, at least 36 states are anticipating local, regional, or statewide water shortages. So even under non-drought conditions. So a few years ago, Atlanta ran out of water. So there are currently several disputes between states, especially in western areas, over who has the rights to what water source, and how they can take. It's difficult to envision a scenario in which the problem doesn't get worse in the future. So America, that crime rates there as a choice, while crime rates can fluctuate and remain a concern, they're not seen as the looming crisis referenced by a growing number of experts in urban planning and sustainability context. And then yung trash disposal naman it is a significant issue in the US, but it is not typically identified as the most critical future crisis in urban sustainability discussion. So, depends with ano yung context ng question. Sa atin kaya, if it says here, Philippine setting, so what would be, what would be the worst thing, di ba? So, you need to also, we need to know the different types of setting. So, kapag Africa, kaya ano yung talagang problem nila. And then in the US, water scarcity is increasingly recognized as a critical issue due to factors like population growth, climate change, and overuse of resources. So many American cities face significant challenges in ensuring a sustainable and sufficient water supply in future. And then yung excessive ozone, air quality and ozone levels are also environmental concerns, but they do not represent the same level of existential threat to urban infrastructure and human survival as water provision does. So we can go to 34. Why do some property owners object to having their property or the area the property is located in receive a historic designation? So they don't want that. Answer is letter 34. Let me look at the letter C. So the cost of maintaining a historic structure can be significant. So it does not lower property values because historic designation can sometimes increase property values, isn't it? Due to the prestige and potential tax benefits, contrary to this statement. So yung isa naman, it has lost its catch and is no longer desirable. So this is not a common concern as historic designations usually add to the prestige and desirability of a property. So the answer is the cost of maintaining a historic structure can be significant. This is a valid concern. Historic properties often require more expensive maintenance and adherence to specific preservation standards, which can be financially burdensome also for owners, unless there's subsidy, isn't it? But of course, subsidy goes to the owner of the property, where it's being designated as, as is one of those attractions or one of those designated preservation area. Pero kapag hindi, you're just a neighbor or something. So it's you need to take care of your own property, okay? So letter D naman doon, it tends to attract too many tourists and not enough paying customers. So this one, while tourism can increase in historic areas, this is not usually the primary concern of property owners regarding historic designations. So we can go to 35. In many cities, battles over historic designations have become common and heated because there's heated, so it's something heated debate, heated argument or something. So answer is for 35, it's letter A. So A, mahaba, no? May haba yung kanyang. So it's not the question that's long, but the choices. So usually you need to, what you do is to leave it muna, and then you just digest it back when you get back to this question. So let's see, because answer is letter A, many of the properties involved are owned by poor Black people. So this is a very interesting, these are all interesting statements. So let's look at the correct answer. So many of the properties involved are owned by poor Black people, and the historic designation boards are controlled by white people. So the process is viewed as a way of driving poor Black people out to gentrification purposes. So you should, by now you should know what's gentrification, isn't it? So it's significant and well-documented concern. So historic designations can lead to increased property values and taxes, which can displace. So it's about identification, is about displacement. So which can displace long-term, lower-income residents, often aligning with broader patterns of gentrification. So when there's replacement, there's yung ano na ba yun, yung you displace people who have been there for a long time and you change it to a wealthier group of residents. So that's pattern. It's following a pattern of gentrification. So if we go back to the question, in many cities, battles over historic designation have become common and heated because. And then another letter B, let's look at the incorrect answers. So many of the properties involved are owned by homosexuals. Sorry about that. And the historic designation boards are controlled by heterosexual. So the process is seen as a way of erasing the history of blah, blah, blah. So while historic preservation issues can affect various communities, this specific concern is less commonly cited in mainstream discussions. So it's something not really, otherwise you will be bashed, you will be for being so discriminatory. So letter C, many of the properties involved are owned by young families, and the historic designation boards are controlled by wealthy older people. So the process is seen as wealthy making themselves wealthier by taking from the poor. So it's not related, okay, on historic designation. And then many of the properties involved are owned by artists who see the people who control the historic designation board as motivated by commercial interest. So the process is viewed as a way of destroying a unique neighborhood to turn it into a cookie cutter historic community to attract tourists and make money. So you see even the terminologies, even these expressions are not very Filipino. So, you know, each you know very well that each country or each city, so we have different jargons, we have different uh yeah, this terminologies, isn't it? And I forget this one. Yeah, I'm very concerned about this one. Sometimes terminologies differ, UK, Australia, Canada, and US, Philippines. So we need to really be very familiar din. I mean, stock knowledge is not stuck but stocked. You know, like kailangan we need to be a wide reader, ano? So, but being wide reader during exam preparation is you cannot do it overnight. So it's something like a culture, is a habit that you've grown up with. So, yon. It's actually it's leverage when you take the board exams when you're ano, a wide reader and you've been a very voracious reader and you're always passionate about all these things na kahit ano, kahit non-planning, and it will also help. So it's about this one. While I go back to letter D, while artists may resist commercialized changes, this option is less about historic designation battles and more about commercialization. You know, these types of groups being mentioned here in the options, they matter actually because in urban planning, demographics is a very important element. As a young, old, that's why even the, you know, like Gen Z, XYZ, ganon, yeah, they're being asked in the board exam. So that's how difficult, yeah, environmental planning board exam is. So ibig sabihin, if you pass this exam, yeah, you should be feeling proud of yourself because what makes it difficult is because you don't know what's going to be asked. So unlike other board exams, so it's predictable in a particular sense, but for environmental planning, it's super unpredictable. Wala siyang katulad, okay? For the predictability issue. So, and that's why yung mga hippies, ganun, so there are these terminologies in the US and that even associated to artists. So, meron mga groups diyan na we need to embrace kasi baka it will matter also and yeah, answering correctly the board questions. So, okay, so Black people, so wala naman tayong ganun ano, yung Black Lives Matter, the BLM phenomenon in the US. So, but you need to take note that it's part of history and that's why even those cities being asked here, Houston and LA or mga Chicago, mga ganon, mga states, uh, they're ano they occupy a broader part of history in urban planning and that's why they're being asked. So it's not just because bakit US yan? So you may wonder why all these US cities ano ang tinatanong but they form part of urban planning history. So okay, we go to number 36, Jen. In a dispute between local or state planners and the federal government, who has the final say? So, kita ninyo, local or state planners and the federal government. It's the US Supreme Court. So, yung answer. It's actually in the US, the US Supreme Court is the final arbiter in disputes between the federal government and local or state planners, actually. So this does not mean that every dispute will reach the Supreme Court. So in many cases, parties will settle before the case is brought before a judge. In other cases, lower courts will issue a ruling and the losing side won't appeal. So in the in some cases naman, appeals will go to the Supreme Court. So parang sa atin din. So which will refuse to hear the case, then letting the last ruling stand. But occasionally, the Supreme Court will hear one of these cases and issue a ruling. In any case, they are at the end of the line, can have the final say if the case goes that far. So answer is the U.S. Supreme Court, and the and the state, kakaiba kasi yung sa kanila, no? So, yung ano naman, the state Supreme Court, which is letter A, which is incorrect. So, while state Supreme Courts have final jurisdiction over state matters. So they do not have the authority to overrule federal law or federal government. So nakalagay kasi sa question, federal government, okay? Federal government decisions. So we know that it's the country, the nation, or national, federal, di ba? Level. So it's not, sinabi na nga na federal government na nga. So you don't answer state. Okay? Parang ganon. So gagamitan mo siya ng common sense. So the Secretary of the Interior did not say anything there. So you need to look at the variables to those that ano yung given doon sa sentence. And the Secretary of the Interior disposition oversees federal land and natural resources, so but does not have judicial authority to resolve disputes between those parties na state planners, diba, and the federal government. So parang the question is asking you to really think deeply na lahat naman ng disputes, there are two parties, ano? So kapag may third party, so that's something else. Meron siyang ibang ano na yan, motion to ano na yan, Camille, diba? Kapag may third party, intervenors, diba, Camille, no? So, okay. Camille. Motion to file, kasi na experience ko yun with something na may intervenor, ganyan. So, I know it, ganyan. So, nakalagay dito yung dalawang contesting parties between local or state planners. So, that's at the state level or and the federal government. So, ang tinatanong ngayon dito is, so who has the final say? So, it gave you already an idea which one to choose. So it depende na rin sa inyo. So it does not mean to confuse you because it's all you are setting, but you have the capacity to decide the correct option. And then yung last doon, the head of the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development does not, so this position oversees housing and urban development policies, but does not have judicial authority over the one that is in the question. So question 37, Jen, which of the following constitute the most important components of a metropolitan street system? So please try to, even if you're not in the US or you're not very familiar, you can answer kasi important components of a metropolitan street system. So how do we go about that? Yung ano naman, so because the answer is principal or major arterials, because these roads are the main highways, di ba? Principal. So the main highways are thoroughfares that carry the bulk of traffic over long distances within a metropolitan area. So they provide high capacity, high speed connections between major parts of the city and are crucial for the overall flow of traffic. Dun naman sa local streets, obviously, so these streets provide access to individual properties, diba? So again, we're talking about hierarchy of streets. Local streets, they provide access to individual properties and carry low volumes of traffic at low speed. So while they are essential to for local accessibility, they do not carry the significant traffic volumes that principal arterials do. So even if you're not familiar again of this hierarchy, principal or major arterials, the mere fact you can that it contains term na principal or major arterials, then you don't eliminate it. You consider it for if you have that 50-50, diba? Until you are able to eliminate further and get to the decision to choose letter A. And then yung collector streets naman, I'm sure nadaanan din natin itong mga hierarchy, no? So these streets gather traffic from local streets, kaya nga collector, no? Collector street, because they gather traffic from local streets. So just remember all those terminologies that give you at least the slightest idea that will give you aha moment, like aha, ito na yung eliminate ko din, because it's these streets gather traffic from local streets and then funnel it to the arterial network. So they are important but serve more as intermediaries between local streets and principal arterials. So remember our collector streets. Then minor arterials, so you can eliminate na. But we need also to understand that these roads distribute traffic from major arterials and provide access to smaller geographical areas. So while important, they do not carry the same level of critical high volume traffic as principal arterials. So kung ako yun, mag-decide dito na wala akong alam about streets, then I can eliminate minor, I can eliminate collector, I can eliminate local streets. So never mind, if I don't understand or I'm not getting the correct concept about principal or major arterials, so yan na lang natira. So that must be the correct answer. So ganun yung attack natin when we answer difficult questions. Okay? So we go to 38. Which form of information gathering is designed to create consensus by giving questionnaires to various experts? So, nagbibigay na siya ng di ba? Nagbibigay siya ng hint. And then using their responses to craft another set of questionnaires and repeating the process until consensus has been reached. So, okay. Because answer is Delphi technique. If I'm not aware or I'm not familiar with these terminologies, Sherry, weighted sampling, visioning, gagawin natin. Sige, I'll try to explain. Weighted sampling is that's a statistical technique to ensure that certain subgroups within a sample and given appropriate representation, diba? This method is not related to consensus building through expert questionnaire. So sampling, is it related when you're being asked by ganyan, mga sa experts? Sa sampling is something like a generic, di ba? Hindi siya, it does not particularly point to some experts that data or the questionnaires will be given them, or just to create consensus. So you can eliminate weighted sampling, but you need to know the meaning after, di ba? After the boards or before, before the board. Visioning naman, wala siyang relationship but because it's a process that involves stakeholders in defining a shared vision for the future. So it focuses on setting goals rather than the iterative consensus building. So wala siyang wala siyang hint that that's the correct answer. So dalawa na lang, 50-50 na lang, di ba? And then yung charade or charrette or it is a collaborative planning process that involves all stakeholders to create a design or solve problem within a short time frame. So yun yung inyong hint, or that's the keyword, within a short time frame. So you are solving within the shortest period, and while effective for rapid collaboration, it does not involve iterative questionnaires. So like band-aid solutions, di ba? Para itawid lang yung issue, or yung if it's just you deem it minor, then you can use this kind of tool. So Delphi technique, which is the answer, is an iterative process that gathers expert opinions. So you remember, so this is not the first time that we talk about this one, right? But this gathering of expert opinions, it's done through a series of questionnaires. So refining in this way, you are refining the responses through multiple rounds for each consensus. It's designed specifically for consensus building. Okay, remember all these words: consensus, Delphi technique. So we go to question 39. What does the concept of environmental justice involve? Quite easy, medyo relaxing because it's just a one-liner question. So ang problema mo na lang, mahaba din yung mga options, di ba? So remember what I told you? Before you read the question, probably like you read through your eyes the different options, especially for long questions. The answer there of 39 is B, reducing the number of environmental hazards in low-income minority neighborhoods. So let's look at the other options. Compensating people whose property values have dropped due to EPA regulations. Environmental justice. So yeah, this does not capture the essence of environmental justice, which focuses on the equitable distribution of environmental benefits and burdens. Okay, so I'll skip letter B. Letter C is making sure that both proponents and opponents of proposed environmental laws or actions are given a fair hearing. While fairness in hearings is important, it is not the core focus of environmental justice kasi it's a heavy term. It's something na it puts a lot of emotion. Yeah, it's something, basta it stirs a lot of emotion. So reducing inefficiencies in the carbon credit markets in yung letter D. So emphasize equity and the reduction of environmental hazards in this okay, reducing inefficiencies in the carbon. So this relates to what? To market-based environmental policy, isn't it? That you turn, it's not specific to environmental justice because it talks about carbon credit market, so very economic, isn't it? So you mix the environmental policy that's you redirect, or you make it market-based. So it's something environmental justice is seeks to address the disproportionate exposure to environmental hazards faced by low-income and minority communities, and that's why letter B is the answer. We go to 40. Which of the following is not a leading figure in advocacy planning? Yeah, this is the easiest question so far I've seen in question 31 to 40, because if you've read already, if you've embraced or you've been very familiar about uh planning, regional planning, urban planning, and all these types of planning, um yeah, Paul Davidoff, Saul Alinsky, Sherry Arnstein, they're all even if you don't remember about advocacy planning, but they're all famous, they're figures, they're foundational figures in urban in planning. So answer is letter A, isn't it? So Paul Davidoff, you remember Paul Davidoff, he's known as the father of advocacy planning, okay? Uh, Baka minsan ko na lang mabanggit ito, so you need to memorize tonight at 10:11 PM. So please, alam mo na siya yung father of advocacy planning. He promoted inclusive and participatory planning practices. He's one of the famous planners of our lifetime. And so Saul Alinsky also, they are related. Uh, Related in the sense that they belong to same, generation. And so he's he was a community organizer whose principles influenced advocacy planning. Pero bakit hindi siya yung naging father? So, but he emphasized iba din yung cluster of iba din yung component of advocacy planning niya, because Saul David Alinsky, wala, kay Saul Alinsky lang yan, but I know he is Saul David Alinsky. He's a community organizer whose principles influenced advocacy planning, emphasizing grassroots participation. So, grassroots participation, yeah, so something that there's a ton of activism, di ba? Yung mga advocacy planning, may ton of activism, but the activism is environmental activism, right? So si Paul Davidoff naman ay inclusivity and participatory. So parang participatory, so quite similar, isn't it? But it's very we identify Saul Alinsky with grassroots participation. Okay, kasi yung kapag sinabi mong promoting inclusive and participatory planning process, so this is regardless of the status, di ba, socio-economic status. Sherry Arnstein she's known for her ladder of citizen participation, which is a key concept. So this is it a book or something? But it is a key concept in advocacy planning. So, we go to 41. Sherry Arns. So, madali lang i-memorize, isn't it? So, 42 pala, 42. What does Executive Order 12898 address? So, kapag akong tanungin mo dito, so hindi ko din ito masagot, isn't it? Unless I read again, because it's not the first time naman. Pero, paano yung strategy dyan? So, 42? Actually, okay. If you try to Google the Executive Order 12898, it was President Bill Clinton who signed this EO in 1994. So it's yeah, it requires every federal agency to identify ways in which their policies and practices have a negative impact on the quality of life of low-income and minority neighborhoods, and to seek to ameliorate these impacts as much as possible. So, like, not about remunerating, but paying them off of the social, the negative impact that they've received in their lives. So that's why it used the word amelioration. So to ameliorate these impacts as much as possible. So, it's environmental, sorry, 42, it's letter C, environmental racism, because it speaks about the social economic, yeah, those people who are below, sabi dito ay low income, low income and minority neighborhood. So may ganun pala, no? Well, historic preservation naman is it's not the answer. So wetlands also. Hindi. Paano mo kaya masasagot yan when you are faced with this type of question? Pwede mo rin na A, B, C, D, then you cluster those related terms like endangered species and urban planning, and then wetlands protection, and then historic preservation. So it's something like, yeah, all about preservation, di ba? Parang ganon. But isa lang yung kakaiba, which is environmental racism. So if you take a risk and wala na kayong oras, or you still cannot really fathom what's the answer. So yeah, you might choose the most unique, context. Ganun na lang. Okay? So that's the safest strategy. Kasi mahirap din i-memorize yan, di ba? But for example, Philippine setting yung binigay sa inyo, and then hindi mo siya maisip-isip. So, ang gagawin ninyo, 4 choices. You cluster, for sure, the answer is the most unique one. Hindi, it does not belong, wala siyang kwan. So that's the likelihood of the how to, to answer properly. Like this one, look at that, historic preservation, wetlands protection, and then endangered species and urban planning. If you try to cluster, you are able to cluster A, B, D, which has, like they are related, and the only one, environmental racism. So it's something kakaiba, di ba? Because that was okay. It focuses on addressing environmental justice in minority and low-income populations, especially pag magkatabi yung question, like 40, 41, 42, may tendency na they are related. So environmental justice, so then, or social justice. And if you take the, paghuhulaan mo siya, guess, intelligent guess, then pwede mo siyang i-relate. Kasi kanina sa 41, it's also about, di ba? Parang related lang siya sa environmental justice. And true enough, EO 12898 is focused on environmental justice. Okay, 43, what did Saul Alinsky believe should be the heart of urban planning? So, di ba, it becomes parang ganun. Kasi believe me, you need to trust me. Alam mo, madaming dire-diretso na paulit-ulit lang yung questions. So you need to be dapat may kwan kayo doon. You need to be very focused, and ang tawag mo doon? You cannot be disturbed in your thinking. Kailangan meron kang, anong tawag mo doon? Forgot the term. You need to be focused, and yeah, full attention ka talaga sa question, and don't be bothered by anything. So, kaya, tingnan mo, kailangan yung coherence ba of your thoughts should be undisturbed. So, you can answer confidently, you can answer talaga na pwede mo pang ma-perfect yung exam. Kapag nakapag-aral ka, you're relaxed, and then you have the capacity to make intelligent guess, and then you have the capacity to eliminate. You have all this what it takes for to top. Pwede mo bang kasi strategies will make you a top notcher sa strategies talaga because you don't expect yourself to memorize all and encounter them all sa kahit pa 5 years ka mag-aral. But strategies, being very strategic and wise, could be, you develop that critical thinking, then yun yung magpapatap sa'yo. So this one answer is community organizing. Kasi, Saul Alinsky, you already know he belongs to the planning group or ang tawag mo doon, movement. So, 1, 2, 3, 4. Historic is not about advocacy or something. Walkability, hindi rin. So, it's a bit tunog, yung tone niya is social justice, environmental justice, ganon. And so, historic preservation is out, and walkability, you can, right away, you can just see because Alinsky emphasized grassroots, diba? Grassroots community organizing to empower residents and ensure their voices are heard in planning processes. So,
Next slide po.
So I'm still in 43. 43 ba yan?
42, ma'am.
Ay, oo. Si Jen? Sa 43 tayo. Nawala siya, no? Ay. Jen, okay. So, pakitingnan. I've been talking here pala. So, 43.
Okay na, ma'am.
Okay, so alam na ninyo yan, ano, yung community organizing. So, 44, Jens. I'll wait for you na makaturn ka. Okay. Which of the following is not a commonly used farmland preservation tool? So, it's a tool. Kapag lahat yan, walang i-eliminate na natin. So, answer is D, agricultural corridor. So not, 'di ba? Ano yung mga tunog na hindi agricultural? Pero, and you could, okay, right to farm, agricultural. So, agricultural naman lahat. So, but preservation. So, let's see. Agricultural districting. So, ano yung meaning nun? So, it's designating areas where, di ba, districting from the word, even if you don't know about agricultural districting, this tool designates areas where farming is the preferred use and providing protections against development. So, then remember, nag-ano rin tayo, we discuss about right to farm laws. These laws protect farmers from nuisance, diba? Yung nuisance lawsuits and other restrictions helping to sustain agricultural operations. So that's very agricultural or farmland preservation. And then yung zoning naman is zoning regulations that limit non-farm development in designated agricultural areas to preserve farmland, di ba? Sa atin is we have the NAPAA, the Network of Protected Agricultural Area. So, yun, for development. So, yun yung, ano naman natin, yun yung protected, yung farmland kasi they have different term. But if you look at it, isa lang yung hindi protectionist or hindi nagpa-preserve ng farmland, which is corridor, because this term it's less commonly used in farmland preservation and typically relates to wildlife movement rather than preserving farmland for agricultural use. So baka mapagkamalan ninyo ng agricultural corridor, something like a development strategy or something, but this one is it's about wildlife. Okay, so we go to 45. 45. This is also easy, TDM. So it's just asking you to answer letter B, travel demand management. So meron kasi tayong TOD, transit-oriented development, and then meron tayong travel demand management. Okay, so total demographic map, so it does not fit. And then yung topographical data manipulation naman, So it's about familiarity with the acronym, okay? So we go to 46, we're near. Generally speaking, a traffic analysis zone is about the same size as, could be very challenging, right? Ano kaya yung traffic analysis zone? So, it is a census tract kasi, am I correct about that? Yeah, because a census tract, traffic analysis zones are often similar in size to census tracts and are used in transportation planning to analyze travel patterns and forecast transportation needs. So a square mile, it could not be the answer. Yeah, it may be close to a square mile. Yung TAZ, their size can vary significantly depending on the urban or rural context. Yung cluster naman, census cluster this is less commonly used in the context of the traffic analysis zone. And then city limits, so it's very American kasi yung baka ang answer nyo city limits kasi but TAZ kasi is traffic analysis zone is not the tool that baka mapagkamalanan yung tool, but sinabi na nga zone, di ba? Traffic analysis zone, so it's an area that it's talking about like kasi yung TAZ or traffic analysis zones, they are subdivisions within cities and regions. So not equivalent to entire city limits. So hindi. So hindi, yung level niya is not the city level, but they are part of a city and regions because these are traffic analysis zone these are subdivisions. Okay, sa American settings, we need to understand the geographic units. Sa atin kaya sa Philippines, so meron ba tayong tinatawag na traffic analysis zone or something, especially in traffic, in transport planning context. So we need to review again transport planning kasi one of the professional, yung members of the regulatory PRB, Professional Regulatory Board, came from si Ma'am Cora Cruz. She came from MMDA, so she had been parang commissioner doon sa MMDA. So we expect that the questions she submitted every year mostly from like an MMDA level, parang ganon, or mostly urban planning or transport din, ganon, metropolitan context. So she loves asking those type of questions. And then another member, si Sir Popoy Magno, he is a geodetic engineer. So he's also a real estate practitioner. So real estate, hindi naman siya kasi real estate appraiser and broker pero hindi naman siya consultant. Pero at least kung alam natin na mga ganon questions din yung binigay niya. And lastly, the chairman is an architect. He's also a real estate person. So, we expect meron din mga urban design. Alam ko yung thesis niya sa PhD niya is about transportation eh. So because we get to talk off the record, we get to talk about his thesis before, and in fact he even asked my ano off the record, okay, please. He even asked my advice on the tools that he can use. So he asked one of my presentations on theory of change for him to use in his research. I'm not sure if he used that, but may pinag-usapan na kami na ganon. So, we need to analyze their profile para maintindihan natin ano yung mga possible na sinasubmit nila ng mga questions. Kasi itong tatlo, ay yung dalawa, si Sir Popoy, si Mike, they submitted questions in 2020. So 2020, 21, 22, 20. So it's been 5 years that they've been submitting. So medyo natatabunan din yung iba. Pero syempre computer generated. So, but Ma'am Cora, nauna siya because she had been a member of the board since, andyan ba si Arlene? Siguro 2018 yata yun, Arlene, ano? So, 2018. So, ganon. Kaya okay lang na, ano, I also remember pinag-usapan din yung mga AICP questions, ganyan. So, I'm very persistent about this, na the way they're asked, these questions are being asked. So, pwedeng papalitan lang nila yung ibang kwan dyan. They tweak the AICP question, and boom, meron na silang question. Kasi they're required to submit questions, 100 questions, and wala silang, pagkuhanan ng medyo may sense na question. Except from yung sa mga AICP questions. So we are in the right direction, okay? Especially for the strategies, okay? So we go to question 47. Question 47, I think that turn ba yan? Okay. Question, a detention system, okay, detention is primarily focused on what? Letter B ang answer, water quality control. Because detention systems primarily manage the volume of runoff, though they can have some incidental water quality benefits. So, ang water quantity naman is about detention systems are designed to control the quantity, diba, of stormwater runoff, delaying its release to prevent flooding and manage downstream flows. For water rationing, yeah, it's used it's unrelated naman. So, water filtering naman is, while some detention systems may incorporate elements that improve water quality, but their primary function is managing the quantity of water. Answers water quality control. Okay, naglagay siya ng descriptor na primarily focused on. So it means that the options have relationship with the detention system, but the primarily focus it's on sorry quantity pala, sorry. I'm talking about the quantity. Detention system, okay, as water quantity controls, they are designed to control the quantity of stormwater runoff. So answer is letter B. Yan, nabulag yata ako. Yeah, it looks the same, di ba? Quality, quantity, yung spellings, especially me, I have bad eyes. Sorry about that. What letter B? Again, I repeat, a detention system is primarily focused on letter B, water quantity control. They are designed to control the quantity of storm water runoff. Okay. Now, 48, according to one study, 48, Jen, 48 na yan, ano? A higher percentage of people walk to work in Boston. So again, it has strong ties with history kasi urban planning histories in Boston. So according to one study, a higher percentage of people walk to work in Boston than in any other American city. What percentage of workers in Boston walks to work? Higher percentage of people. So, yeah. Answer is letter C. Paano mo nasabi na higher percentage nga naman yun, di ba? So it's something like, C, correct ba yun? 48C. So 12, yeah, lower than the actual percentage for Boston. But we can go past it, so it's something na parang pakialam ko. Parang ganun sana yan ang question na yun. But according to FEMA, I mentioned about FEMA, di ba, na it's it stands for Federal Emergency Management Agency. It is an agency of the U.S. Department of Homeland Security. So initially created by, meron legislation doon. So on this FEMA. So if we go back to the question 49, a floodplain is an area of land with at least blank % chance of annual flooding. Answer is letter D. The answer is letter D. So 1 chance of annual flooding. Floodplain, so ganun pala yan. Floodplain is an area of land with at least ganun. Because pag in-answer mo yung 10, and this would indicate a much higher frequency of flooding than is typically used to define a floodplain. So it's about the definition of floodplain. Sinabi mong floodplain, it should be 1% chance of annual flooding. So it should be the lowest. And 25, it's the biggest value there. So this percentage is too high for the general definition of a floodplain. And then yung C naman, 5, still too high for the standard FEMA definition. And then lastly, letter D, which is the answer, a floodplain according to FEMA, it's a department in the Homeland Security Department, so is typically defined as having 1% chance of flooding in any given year. So also known as the 100-year floodplain. Okay, so we go to the last question. A man earns, so maganda itong question na ito. A man earns $100, which he then spends on pool maintenance. The pool maintenance man then spends the $100 at the equipment rental store. The owner of the store uses the $100 to pay one of her employees for working on his day off. Then the employee then spends the $100 at the local grocery store. So what is that phenomenon? That's circulating money called. Yeah, if we go onto the options, yung fractal reserve it's a banking terminology. Then yung law, of course, it's not law of supply and demand because pwede mo nang strike out yan because it's di ba yung supply and demand it's an economic principle that describes how prices vary with supply. So that's not circulation, not hindi wala siyang hint na about money circulation siya, and then multiplier effect, that's the answer. Okay, because this concept explains how an initial amount of spending leads to increased economic activity and further spending, thereby amplifying the initial expenditure. So, yung compounding interest naman, so it's about finance, di ba? So, this relates to the growth of investments over time, di ba? Pagka magko-compound yung interest. So it's not about spending and circulation of money. So again, the multiplier effect. So pag makakita kayo ng ganong concept, so you don't need to really think deeply, but just imagine. So siya, nagsisirculate siya. It leads one to another, and and leads to further spending. So that's all for tonight. Tomorrow, we need to do something more special, because I need to run through some tips. Not the tips about being, you need to be well, you need to be prepared, and yung mga eyeglass ninyo, yung mga contact lenses, etc. But what I will be what I will be discussing for tomorrow, wag kayong mawawala, is because I need to do some of this. Tingnan ko nga yung slide ko. Like general strategies, I call it secret key. Secret key number 1. Parang ganon. So, because time is your greatest enemy. Okay? Time is your greatest enemy during board exams. And, guessing is not guesswork. Okay? It's a good idea, but unlike other standardized tests, there's no penalty for getting a wrong answer. So even if you have no idea about a question, you still have a 20 to 25% chance of getting it right. 20% pag 5 options, di ba? Pag 4 options, 25 chance. 25% chance. So, most test takers do not understand the impact that proper guessing can have on their score. So, unless you score extremely high, guessing will significantly contribute to your final score. And so, what else? What else should I? You practice smarter. Don't practice harder. You practice smarter, because many test takers delay the test preparation process because they dread the awful amounts of practice time they think necessary to succeed on the test. So we need to refine our methods that will take you only a fraction of the time that you have prepared, or that you have allocated for a particular activity. So, and I will also talk about success strategies, and prepare, and also you don't procrastinate. So if you take the test 3 times, you will probably get 3 different scores. So preparedness indeed is key. You've prepared enough. I can see that. Then test yourself so you don't need to. You can also have a review body, but the way it's going, it's more, it's wiser to be on your own first. I'm not sure if you have kasi may mga nakita ko na successful group review naman. In fact, I already asked you if you want to have a group review without me, you just contact Jen so that pahiram niya sa inyo yung Zoom. pwede naman yon, di ba? You can use that in this, within the review time that we are here. Pwede, just ask permission. So, mag-usap ang 5, ang 10, kung may gustong magkuhan, so that you can be more comfortable. Kasi, mahirap din, maganda ba yun sa Messenger? I'm not sure. But still, Zoom pa rin yung pinakamaganda. So, and then yung fear, meron yung mga iba na kailangan mag-take ng gamot, Valium ba? Tinitake nyo para hindi kayo kakabahan. Because you need to, the most important thing you can do is to ignore your fears. Kapag before the exam kasi, kakabahan ka, magsasweat yung excessive sweating of your palm. By the way, you need to have tissue, for those mabilis mag-sweat yung palm nila. Kasi kapag madapuan yung test answer sheet ninyo, magka-cave in ulit yun eh. Parang something, yung surface niya hindi siya smooth. So it will be very risky na pag idaan sa sensor machine, baka meron siyang hindi makukuha na answers. So it needs to be very neat, very flat, ganon. So, yun lahat yung isipin ninyo, okay? And then, when you are taking the exam, do not be overwhelmed by any strange sounding terms. Ang napansin ko, if you take the exam and then, there are some people mabibilis magsagot na half the time, halimbawa, 4 hours, 2 hours pa lang tapos na sila, isipin nyo na lang, ay, natapos na siya kasi wala siyang alam. Kaya sinubmit na lang niya. Ganun na lang, wag niyo sabihin na, halang galing naman niya. Don't say that. Kasi, you will, iba yung kanya, iba yung effect sa inyo. Mai-insecure kayo na, why those these people are so quick? Kasi sa pag shade pa lang, upos na yung oras eh. It happened to me because I'm not really good in shading kasi madiin ako. So you need to practice shading. Kaya ngayon kapag magsagot kayo, kunwari nagsasagot kayo ng use your i-print niyo ng madami yung test answer sheet niyo para yan na lang yung gamitin niyo for your practice on your own. Kasi yeah, it's so nakakainis mag-shade. Nakakainis talaga. Especially if sweaty yung nagsisweat yung mo. And then, kapag ka mapagod, so I did a lot of, noon eh. Nag-hotel pa nga ako sa the nearest hotel, na yung magtatawid na lang ako dun sa center ko, sa testing center ko, para hindi na ako mag-commute or hindi na ako mag-drive or hindi na ako sasakay diyan na lang ako, di ba? And then I prepared pa ako, na yung sa kamay ko. So ano na yung anong tawag mo doon, Jen? Kalimutan ko. Para and it proved very effective kasi hindi nag-shake yung hands ko eh. Massage? Hindi, di ba yung massage, yung sa, dun sa, mainit dyan, na yung candle, yung, parang binubuhos na kan. I forgot. Sa wellness, di ba?
Hands pa?
Hindi, yung, ididip mo siya sa mainit na wax na kan. So, di ba nagpunta pa ako sa mga ganon. So, I'll tell you tomorrow, nakalimutan ko. Because, and then the vitamins, ganon, and dami nakakatawa na experience, but I'll share it tomorrow. So, what I can do to help is to predict questions. Because that's the one that naka-produce ako ng madaming top-notchers because, yeah, I've been predicting questions before. Predict na at least alam ko yung maramdaman ko, I'm not going to ask Michael ano yung bibigay mo? Kasi hindi rin niya alam, 'di ba? Hindi rin niya alam yun kasi computer generated yon. So makukuha lang niya the day before. Pero alangan naman na ano, 'di ba? So it's not good also to do that. That's very unethical. So yun. We've covered enough, but we will cover more. So, okay. So, good night. I'll not take your, ano na, at